Brad Marchand just signed for 6 more years. Aaron Ekblad took a discount to stay, less than what he was making before. And fresh off of winning the Stanley Cup, the Panthers just told the entire league, no taxes, no problem, we're running it back again. I'm kidding. They didn't say that. Well, maybe they did. What they did say is, we're going to win it again. So just after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, the Florida Panthers go out and instantly resign 2 major pieces from that cup run. Make it 3 if you want to throw Sam Bennett in there, who signed a contract 8 years times $8 million and was projected to get over 9, maybe even 10 million in the open market. GM Bill Zito said he wanted to get this done. He wanted to sign all 3, and he somehow pulled it off with their limited cap space. They're now over the amount of cap space that they're required to have, but that's a whole nother conversation. But listen to this. They have Barkov, Tkachuk, Reinhart, Bennett, Verhaeghe, Marchand, Lundell, Jones, Ekblad, and Forsling signed until 2030 and beyond. The core of this team is locked in for the foreseeable future, and there's no reason to think they can't win 3 in a row. Outside of what? Fatigue? I mean, they'd be the only team holding themselves back. There's no other team in the NHL that's even close. And anyway, let's just talk about what just happened today. Pre-free agency, a lot of deals went down, but Florida was very active. Brad Marchand, he signs a 6-year extension with the Panthers, featuring just $1 million base salary, but loaded with signing bonuses. His average annual value, the AAV, is at 5.25 per. And let's not forget, some of these insiders were saying he was potentially able to fetch upwards of 8 or 9 million if you were to hit free agency on July 1st. That's a lot of money, but he decided not to do that. He stays in Florida, the whole no tax thing. I'm sure that came into play when they were discussing this contract. And this deal ends when Brad turns 43 years old. Now, there is no way, in my opinion, that this guy plays until he's 43 years old. I don't even think he plays north of 40. I don't think he plays in his 40th season. Maybe he does. He keeps himself in good shape. It's a new type of athlete now. They're healthier, they're stronger, more medicine, yada, yada, yada. I just don't see it happening. I was trying to find a player, an older player, that signed a deal at the age of signing for 6 or more years. The only guy that popped up for me was Marian Hossa when he signed that 12-year deal for Chicago at 30 years old. That's the only guy. So a deal like this is pretty rare. A deal this long for an older player is pretty rare in the NHL, but he stays in Florida. He wanted to stay in Florida by all accounts, and he's there. And he was such a great piece for them. Fits right on the third line with Lundell and Listerinen. Can argue that was the best line in the playoffs. Now, Aaron Ekblad, how about this discount? 6.1 per over the next 8 years. He took less than what he was making on his last deal at 7.5. And I know I've been mentioning no tax, and obviously everyone is doing that because it's a hot topic right now. But this deal, this Ekblad deal, doesn't feel like a no tax thing. He wanted to stay there. He loves it there. He had this speech at a club when they were partying. It was like a somber speech on the stage about how much he loved Florida and he wants to stay in Florida. And there's nothing more than he wanted than to be with this organization. And he took the discount. And I think that's what that is. I think he looks at his life and where he is and the team that he's with. And he understands, looking at that core who's locked up until 2030, that they're going to have multiple chances to win more Stanley Cups. And he can be a big part of that. That's how I see this deal. And I admire him for that. I mean, a lot of players go out there just looking for the most money available. I don't think Ekblad was doing that. I think he loves where he is. He loves the team he plays for. Probably loves his partner a whole lot. Gustav Forsling. Ekblad and Forsling. Again, you can argue maybe the best pairing in the NHL. The McDavid shutdown line. They were great. I mean, Ekblad got embarrassed a few times by McDavid, but listen, who doesn't get embarrassed by Connor McDavid? But this pair together, no pair has played together more over the past 3 NHL playoffs. It's them two at the top. That's who Paul Maurice loves to have together, and they're there for a very long time. Okay, so 2 big deals. Make it 3 with Bennett for the Florida Panthers. Now, you know, what can stop the Panthers? Like, honestly, I think it's only the Panthers. There's no other team in the NHL that's better than them. Like, the only thing that's going to slow them down, I would say, is probably fatigue, because no other team in the NHL has played more hockey over the past 3 seasons than the Florida Panthers. And another thing that could probably slow them down, it doesn't look like that's the case, but Sergei Bobrovsky's turning 37 in September. He's on the final year of his deal. I think if fatigue catches up to them and or Bobrovsky's wheels fall off because he's getting older and he's played a lot of hockey, I think those two things are the only things that can slow them down and hold them from winning the Stanley Cup. I really believe that because there's no other team in the NHL that comes close to what these guys can do. They play playoff hockey from game 1 to game 82, and then the entire playoffs, they ramp that up, and they play even better to the point where during the regular season, Paul Maurice, he stated it himself, and I'm paraphrasing, but he does not care where they finish as long as they make the playoffs. He said that. They finished third in the Atlantic. They were on the road the entire route to the Stanley Cup final, and it didn't matter. They won the majority of the games on the road, and they won the Stanley Cup. The only thing that will slow these guys down is themselves, and I just don't see that happening. All right, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, hit the like button, hit subscribe. I'll have more videos coming out throughout the entire offseason, but comment below. Let me know what you think about Florida. These two signings, throw Bennett in there. Are they pretty much a lock to repeat once again, the three-peat in the NHL? The very rare three-peat. Will the Panthers pull that off next season? Let me know in the comments below.